Hey everyone, welcome to Sunrise Extra, our live streaming unscripted after show right after the television program. Good morning. Happy Tuesday to you. We hope you're doing well. We have a special guest in our 4-box Brady Bunch square today. His name is Patrick Alexander. He's the editor and publisher of Oregon Coast Today. It's a weekly newspaper that covers everything from Manzanita to Yachats. You guys focus, Patrick, on kind of the arts and culture and entertainment, but boy, you've been thrust into the hard news section of journalism now lately, I suppose. Thank you for getting up early with us. It looks like you're outside enjoying the great coast morning. Tell us how people are reacting to the stay-at-home order. Are they respecting social distancing? What are you seeing on the coast?
Right. Well, thanks for having me. It is a beautiful morning here on the coast, and it's been a strange time for the coast. I think we're dealing with things just about as well as can be expected, but the coast is really it's a visitor-centered economy, and this hit. There's no good time for a pandemic to hit, but this hit just as people had been clinging on through winter, waiting for spring break, and the influx of cash that normally comes with spring break, and of course spring break just evaporated. And with that, the lifeline for these businesses evaporated as well. And so you can see a lot of business owners are just, they had already clung on about as long as they could. And then this hits on top of that. So I think it's hit at a particularly bad time for the coast with our visitor economy. But folks out here are resilient. People are used to lean times, and they're used to going months and months with very little revenue. So people are being resilient and resourceful, and we are seeing a good community spirit as people come together to help each other out.
What have you noticed going to the grocery store or doing, essential errands or trying to interview people? Are folks up and down the coast using face masks? Are they, trying to social distance? What do you see?
People are doing a good job, I think, of social distancing. I think that's one of the things that we're fairly well set up for here at the coast. It's one of the reasons a lot of people move here is there's a little bit more space. There are fewer people. So if you want to, then you can separate yourself fairly easily. We're fortunate that we don't have lines of people waiting to get into the grocery store. Really, again, because we're a tourist economy, all of our infrastructure is sized for a lot of people. So I'm in Lincoln City with you today. We have about 7,000 people who live here, and we have infrastructure built to deal with 30,000 people because that's our summertime peak. That's how many toilets need to flush at 2 o'clock on a Friday, normally, and July 4th. And similarly with grocery stores, police department, library, and so on. So all of those services are scaled really for a larger population. So it feels a bit like a ghost town because we've got just our regular population roaming around in this sort of city that's sized for a larger population. So people are doing a fairly good job of managing to stay in their own space. Face masks, I would give us maybe a C. I have a very fetching leopard skin print face mask that I wear with pride whenever I go out. My neighbor made it for me.
Love it.
And people are really getting into it with the patterns and whatnot. But I was at the store getting our weekly groceries the other day, and I would say fewer than half the people were wearing face masks. So we could do better.
Honestly, Patrick, this is Drew, and I went to my Safeway on Sunday, and I actually saw fewer face masks on Sunday than I had the previous couple of weeks of grocery shopping. So I don't know if it was just a weird time that I happened to go, but I don't know if people are starting to dial that back here as well. Let me take you back to about 5 weeks ago. It was that weekend of March 14th and 15th when it was a beautiful weekend. Everyone flooded the coast, and people that lived at the coast were saying, please go back from where you came. It sounds like you're now describing things as more of a ghost town, but have things really changed from that weekend to where we are now as far as visitors showing up at the coast?
They have, and one of the main reasons for that is that the county government and our city governments got together and really sort of locked arms and acted as one to basically close down the tourism industry. To basically close down short-term rentals, so motels, bed and breakfasts, vacation rentals are all prohibited, unless they happen to be being used by an essential worker, like a trauma nurse or something. They can stay in a bed and breakfast. They're welcome to be here. But for the most part, the lodging industry has shut down. Restaurants, of course, are takeout only, and the message got out. And I think it took longer than some residents were really comfortable with. I think a lot of residents just wanted an immediate statement of the kind that we saw from some towns on the North Coast, which really happened that weekend. Our local leaders got together and they took, I think, a more unified approach, a more deliberative approach, because they realized that if one town takes a stand and tells people to go home, there's another town down the road. So what's the spillover effect? If Lincoln City says go home, do people just go to Newport? So I think it was sensible in that sense. It would have been, some people would have liked it to happen earlier, but it happened, and I think it sent a very strong message. So what we're dealing with now is really just a slightly different problem of second homeowners, because of course a lot of people on the coast, a lot of properties on the coast are second homes, and there is really no way to prevent somebody from using a home that is theirs. So what we're down to is effectively our leaders having to just either ask people very nicely or ask people in a stern way. But we're down to essentially rhetoric, saying please don't come, or don't you dare come, or whatever way we want to phrase it. And different people are phrasing it different ways. But it is that's where we are, and I think there's a general sentiment on the coast that if our part-time residents who we love and who we want to be here really whenever they want under normal circumstances, because they pay their property taxes and they support our local businesses, and in many cases they pour more money into the local economy than someone like me who lives here year round. Right. We love that we have that vibrant part-time resident community, but now is a time to be at your primary home. And I would say this to people at the coast as well. If you're living at the coast and thinking, oh, this is great, I've got my space, I've got my beach, and it's nice and deserted, and I'm just going to go to Costco tomorrow, I'm just going to drive through to the valley and stock up, I would say to those people, don't do that. Not now. You skip the Costco run until this is over. It makes a lot more sense for everyone just to stay where they are, and it might not be the most convenient, but tough.
Right. Hey, Patrick Rodhill here. By the way, Heather Hatton on our Facebook feed says she is proud to have you represent her community. My question is, when we go to the coast for a nice weekend, my family, certainly my wife has her at least have one or two little shops in almost every community that we go to that's become her favorite, and we always stop in to see what they have. And I'm wondering if you've noticed signs that some of those shops have just already called it quits, that they won't be back. Are you seeing that, or are you still holding out hope that a lot of these small businesses and tourist shops will in fact be open for business when they can?
Well, I'm holding out as much hope as I can. I think the realist in me realizes that some of these stores won't be back. As I mentioned, so many of them had been hanging on through the winter, just waiting for spring break, and that's an annual thing every year. People suffer through the winter, and then spring break comes, and that tides them over till the summer, and that's when people make their money that pays their bills for the rest of the year. And that just didn't happen this year. We've had some closures already. There's a in fact, my son's karate studio has announced that they are closing and that they will not be reopening, and that's terribly sad. And being kind of a contact facility, they would be one of the last that would be allowed to reopen. It's very difficult to do karate with a face mask on. So we are going to see more of that. Our Lincoln City Chamber of Commerce did a survey of local businesses. Firstly, asking, have you been impacted? And of course, everyone said yes. Sure. Yes, we've been impacted. And the eye-opening part of that was 20% of those respondents said that they felt that they would not reopen.
Oh gosh, and it's so hard to get those.
To me, that's a strikingly high number.
Yeah, and I mean, all across the country, we're seeing this tug between staying healthy and keeping the virus from spreading, but also not falling into financial ruin and collapse. So it was getting to the point, we were getting emails into our newsroom of, like cleaning staff at Airbnb or VRBOs or hotel chains who were seeing, plenty of out-of-town visitors, even still, like through last week, where they were still able to rent homes on these, Airbnb style sites and go over kind of on, maybe they're not going to the grocery store, they're bringing their own food or whatever, but it felt like there was like a tug of, we don't want people possibly bringing in the virus, but boy, we sure do need some of that extra money. And so it felt like some businesses were really like torn between what they wanted to happen. They of course want to keep their families safe, but they also want to make a few sales and to go orders from restaurants. Are you kind of feeling that inner tug between people on the coast?
Yeah, certainly I feel very lucky that to be able to carry on working. I'm joining you here from my home, where I'm fortunate enough to be able to do my job from here. Of course, many people can't do their job remotely. It's a privilege to be able to do it, and it generally is more of a white collar thing to be able to work at home. And to have that flexibility in your hours, and to have the tech set up that makes it happen. If you're going to be cleaning a rental, you need to be at the rental, and that puts you at risk. And so you can't do that remotely. And I think that if it were that these workers were, if they had the security to know that they wouldn't, that they'd be able to pay their bills, then staying home would be more of a palatable option. And I think that tension that we're seeing between the desire to keep on working and the desire to stay safe and keep our community safe is really being fueled by a lack of security. And that's because so many people in our community live from one paycheck to the next. It's a service-based economy. I think it's very difficult to live at the coast in the service industry and build up the kind of savings that you would hope to have to tide you through something like this. And the government stimulus checks have begun to arrive, and that's wonderful. It's to be welcomed, but there's a limit to how far you can stretch $1,200.
Yeah, exactly.
And again, if there was a duration to it, if people thought, well, I know I'm going to be back at work on X date, then they could plan how to use that money. But at the moment, it looks like it's a one-time shot. Hopefully, there's going to be more follow-up. But I can totally sympathize with those service industry workers who feel that tension.
Yeah, you're doing something really cool. That, on your I'm sorry to interrupt you. I thought you were stopping. You're doing something really cool on your paper, providing free ads for the restaurant, bar, and event venue clients that you've had, and you're doing this for the duration of the shutdown. That is incredible, Patrick. Tell me kind of what the response has been. I'm sure they very much appreciate it.
Well, yeah.
Well, let's see if you can get a signal together.
Me.
Patrick, you're kind of flipping in and out. There you are.
That's not just me thinking very deeply. It struck me that when this happened, and this was I think it was a Friday that the governor's order came out, and bars and restaurants were basically shut down. And we have a live music page normally in the Oregon Coast today. And my first thought was, well, we're going to have to change that. And then my second thought was, I'd better brace for a whole bunch of calls on Monday morning with people canceling their ads, and I don't want that to happen. So how can I stop it happening? And the only way I could think of was just to turn ourselves from a liability into an asset, and say to these people, we are not coming to you with a bill. We know that your ability to make money has just been turned off through no decision of your own. And so we can't come to you next month and say, it's time to pay up. So we thought, these people have supported the Oregon Coast Today for 15 years. It's time for us to support them. And because the last thing you want is your advertisers to have to make that call, because people feel so bad. They advertise with us because they enjoy our product, they like the brand, and to put them in a position where they have to call you up and say, I can't advertise with you anymore, is an awful thing to do to people who've supported you so long. And also, just from a purely it's a realist point of view, it takes a very long time to get people to come back and advertise again once they've made that decision to pull out. So we thought we need to hold our clients close, show them that we're there for them, and so we said, for the duration of this, time that you can't make money by a state order that we think makes sense, we are here for you. We're not going to be asking you for money, and so that has been welcomed. It's nice to be able to do what we can, and. Obviously there's a financial impact to that, and we're dealing with that as best we can. But we're certainly we're in the same boat as everyone else with that.
Hey Patrick, I want to share a quick story with you. It's a feel-good story from the coast, and this is a story that was shared to us just a few minutes ago on our stream by a viewer named Jill Joyce. Jill says that she was checking in on their family's beach house a couple of weeks ago. It's something they do once in a while, of course. She said that they thought they were all set with food before they came to the coast. They bought groceries in Portland because they didn't want to deplete, she says, any of the resources for locals when we got to the coast. But, she says, they forgot eggs. So they ran to Safeway to get eggs. Safeway had no eggs. So then she realized that she did not have her wallet either. She got to a roadside stand where the gentleman was selling eggs, realized she did not have her wallet. My light just went out here in my home studio. I apologize. She says, but the guy there at the stand told her, you know what? Don't worry about no wallet. I'll cover the eggs for you. Stay safe, stay home, get the heck out of here with your eggs. She said she was almost in tears because of the kindness of that gentleman. And that's just a great story that I thought you would appreciate hearing, Patrick, of one of your own, so to speak, down there on the coast.
That's wonderful. That is fantastic. I'm cheered to hear that. Okay. I'm glad that we're still able to be hospitable.
Hey, real quick before we have to go, you do a segment on Facebook, Patrick. It's called Lockdown Lowdown. What is that? This is kind of a special thing for businesses. Explain what Lockdown Lowdown is.
Right. Well, yeah, Lockdown Lowdown, it really was an idea that stemmed from us not wanting to be a hassle for our advertisers. We wanted to be in a position where we could offer something rather than going in and trying to sell someone an ad. We didn't want to get chased out of businesses with pitchforks, so we decided how can we offer people something fun and free, something that helps them. So we were very lucky to get a grant from an organization called Northwest Oregon Works. They have a layoff aversion fund. We applied for money through that. We received $3,000 through that fund. And basically our plan is we use that money to buy prizes from local businesses. And those prizes we then give away in online contests through our Facebook page. And so it puts us in a position where rather than walking through the front door of a struggling business and saying, hey, would you like to buy an ad for $50? We can say, would you like us to buy $100 worth of stuff from you right now? Money goes directly into your cash register, and then promote you through our Facebook page and get you in front of our audience there. and hopefully get you some follow-up sales, because
Wow.
we get a chance to talk straight to our audience and let people know, firstly, what the prize has been, and secondly, how are they doing business now in this new reality that we're all operating in. And it's been really wonderful for us, because it's nice to be welcomed when you come through the front door, and also it's been a chance just to listen to some of the ingenuity that people have shown, and the creative thinking that has allowed people to keep their businesses open in some fashion. And that's been really heartwarming. I think for me, that's been the most heartwarming part of this, is seeing the ingenuity of our local entrepreneurs. And Lockdown Lowdown is still going on. We've got a few $1,000s more to give away. So please check out our Facebook page. We'll keep on highlighting our local coastal businesses and giving away some free stuff.
And tell us what that Facebook page is.
I'm sorry?
Tell us what the name of your Facebook page is.
Oh, yes, it's just Oregon Coast Today.
Oregon Coast Today. Okay, gotcha. We have a lot of people from the coast watching this right now. Heather Hatton on Facebook says, I love seeing all of our Lincoln City community watching this. Judson Moore says, yeah, it's really a conundrum for us at the coast. We rely on out-of-town support for our economy, but we are small communities with limited resources for local residents. And the Cultural Center giving you a shout out, Patrick. Way to represent Oregon Coast Today on our stream. Thank you so much. And they're actually touting, it's called the Layoff Aversion Program, which helps nonprofits as well. She talks about your program. You purchase a $100 gift certificate. You can do it from the Lincoln City Cultural Center. It helps us deliver our creative quarantine programs. So we love that. We love hearing from you on the coast, covering from Manzanita to Yachats, Oregon Coast Today. Check them out on Facebook. Pick up a paper the next time you are safely on the coast. And we hope to be there this summer when all of this stuff is a little bit loosened and we can enjoy and, buy food and go into some of those great shops over there. Thank you so much, Patrick. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
All right, you guys. We'll see you tomorrow.